Well, I hope you have luck with those elephant, Jamie. I'm also looking for elephant at the moment. I'm almost at Buffelshoek Dam. Now, Abigail, getting back to your question about the European starling, and for some reason I doubted myself, and we get mixed up with some of the names. What is known as the common starling is the European starling. It was introduced here. It's not an indigenous bird. It was introduced, but we do have them in certain parts of South Africa. We don't get them out here though. But so the common starling is the European starling that you would know. All right, let's have a look and see if there's anything around the dam at the moment. And I do not see anything. I wonder where that hippo has gone that was in here. Is that a malachite kingfisher? Oh, hang on a second. Vim, it might be a little bit too far. So straight down where those little sticks are sticking out the water. Then go to the right. There on that big branch that's sticking out the side of the bank there. No, left, sorry. Left there. Do you see that? What is that? Yeah. Looks like a kingfisher. I'm going to see if I can get a bit closer to that. It's just too far for us. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. While I do that, let's head to Brent, who's got some elephant, I believe.
Well, we can't really move. We're in a bit of a gremlin zone, but there's just this lovely bull elephant who's wandering around. Hey, big boy. Probably 35-ish. You can see how he's smelling the ground, trying to see where the other elephants have been. You can see there's some elephant dung that he's about to walk on. So he'll be sniffing, trying to see or get all the chemical messages from urine from the other elephants. Who's an estrus, who's not, who's going to be. Oh, but let's just have a nice scratch on the leadwood tree first. Oh, that's nice. You can see he's been having a bit of a mud bath already this morning. Now it's time for a scratch. Oh, now it's time to scratch the rear end. Now, Christine is wondering, do elephants modify trees as part of the navigation system? Well, Christine, no, I wouldn't say they do anything to do with navigation. I'd say they modify trees because they like to eat them or like to rub on them. So let's just shoot back to him because he's looking like he's enjoying that a lot. Oh, he's going to come visit us, it looks like. Hello, big boy. Where are you off to? Now you can see there's another vehicle and a walk between the two of us. And that big grey bottom is going to disappear behind us. And as I said, we're not really able to move here. We've got to keep in one spot. But you can see we've made our way towards the Chitwa waterhole. We are going to move onto the dam wall in a little bit so we can have a better look. Hi, Cameron. Cameron's wondering, how far do elephants travel in a day? Well, it all depends on how hungry or how thirsty they are, Cameron. They are able to do massive distances, 50, 60 kilometers in a day, but generally they probably don't. They probably do 4 or 5 kilometers in a day. Let's just see, is he going to pop out the side? He's going to keep moving through into the thickets. Oh dear, well, let's see what else we've got here while we're here. So I'm just having a look around. We're trying to see if there are any hippos. I think they might be right up in that top corner. Hi, Cindy. Cindy's wondering, do elephants get thorns in their feet, or is their skin too thick to penetrate? Well, it's always possible, but more likely to get a stump or a splinter off a stump into their feet. Your normal thorns wouldn't be strong enough to penetrate an elephant's foot. But I have seen elephants with sore feet before from stumps and rocks sometimes, but it is quite unusual. I'm just trying to see what else we got here. Now, there's tracks of Tundi heading in this direction as well, so we are keeping a good look up for the leopards, and hopefully they will make an appearance. Now, we've got a nice big group of alarm calls, well, alarm system sitting out here on the open area. If we come across, let's go over there. Where's he about? Where's he gone? There he is. There's a baboon. Oh, we can hear one. Whoa! So if we keep going, there's quite a few baboons there. So if they spot a leopard, they'll let us know. Baboons are a little bit far away to hear them. Just heard that wow in the distance. There we go, all foraging. And of course they've got one of the best sets of eyes in the bush. So if there are any leopards about, it's likely that they'll be spotted by the baboon troop. They're quite far spread out, this troop. It's a biggish troop, probably 60 or 70 individuals in it. There we go. Hello, Mary Kay. Mary Kay says she's amazed that the animals are not threatened by our presence. Well, what it is, Mary Kay, is the fact that in a vehicle, and we don't actually come across as human beings, it's a big thing that smells of gasoline and oil. If we had to get out and walk, they would probably be a bit threatened by our presence. Man is the dominant diurnal predator. Vehicles have only been around for 100 years, so they don't have an instinctive reaction to them. So as long as you drive carefully and respectfully, you can get very close to them. Okay, well, we're going to continue on to see what else we can find. And we've got our baboons watching the open area here, so if there's a leopard around, they'll let us know. So I think we might cross the dam wall, head down towards the airstrip, see if there's anything happening on that side. But while we do that, it seems like Jamie's got some grass to show you.
Some really beautiful, now of course this is exactly when the wind decides to blow, some really beautiful grass. And I don't just have some grass to show you, I have a question to ask you. I've never seen this grass before, ever. I have no idea what it is. It's bright purple. Wait, let me try and get it so that it's still. It's bright purple. The seeds look to me like Eragrostis seeds, potentially, so one of the sort of the love grass species. And the ripe seeds, as I said, are bright purple, as is the stem, actually, of the plant. And I do apologize for the elephant dung fingernails that you will be seeing as well. I can't help that, I'm afraid. Need to carry some hand sanitizer. What is it? This is a genuine question. Of course, half the fun of these live safaris is that actually, no matter how long you spend out here, you don't know everything. It's impossible. You don't encounter everything. There'll be something new to learn every single day. And that's also the fun of working with such a fantastic team, is that we all get to learn from each other. And I've no doubt, if I asked James or Brent, perhaps they would know, Tristan. Steph says he doesn't like to be asked questions about grasses, but I reckon he'd know as well. But I genuinely have no idea what this grass species is. I'll go and look it up. I'm going to keep it with me when I get back. But I was wondering whether any of you have seen this grass before. I know some of you have become very, very well versed in our various flora and fauna. Do you have any idea what this grass is? You can send through the answers on #SafariLive on Twitter. I would be much appreciated. I would be much appreciated? That's not what I wanted to say. I'm going to say it would be very much appreciated. It's very pretty. It's very, very pretty. I'm going to keep it with me. Try and figure out where to put it. On the subject of grass, of course, most of the grasses here are unbelievably familiar to us, and of course snacked upon heavily, especially at this time of year, by things like elephants and hippo and whatever else they happen to find. Lindsay, you want to know if carnivores will eat grass to aid digestion, just like domestic cats and dogs. Absolutely, they do, and we actually see them do it quite regularly. I've noticed that particularly when they're hungry, with especially lions, they seem to go and feed and snack on the grass as well, often to make themselves sick. It can also be a tactic that they utilize, tickling the back of their throat or just sort of gathering up a bolus of grass that then helps to bring up the stomach contents. And it's very, very common to find lion vomit, which sounds like a weird sentence. It's not that common to find lion vomit. It's common to find lion vomit with grass in it, because it helps to make them feel sick and helps to bring up the food that they do. You'll find grass, bits of hoof invariably, and also invariably an intestinal parasite. It's really gross. You will always in lion vomit find something like a tapeworm or one of the various parasites that they have. It's truly disgusting. And it makes you very aware of just how much they carry around. Sorry, hold on 1 second, stop. It's a spider hunting wasp. I was trying to sneak up on it. I don't know why I always try and get the spider hunting wasps on camera, because I know it's never going to work. They're just too quick. It's going to pop out. And you see it there, Fergus? On the road. That's a really difficult thing to do. It was so nice and close. There we go, well done. Awesome. One of the many species of spider hunting wasp. They'll seek out a spider, grab it, sting it, and essentially lay its eggs in the spider itself, and then bury it most of the time. And then once it's done that, wait, come back, no, once it's done that and the eggs hatch, its babies have an immediate food source, readily provided by their spider hunting mother. And we've seen a few battles between baboon spiders and spider hunting wasps. One of the things that I've noticed is they like to hang around the entrances to termite mounds, which again makes complete sense, because that's actually where you're going to find a very high concentration of spiders, because it's a convenient place to build a web. Do we have any answers on our grass species? I'm really curious to know. Purple lovegrass. Okay, well at least I got the family right. Thank you to White Lady Erwin. Very much appreciated. It is an Eragrostis species, which makes sense. Purple lovegrass. You know what? Tristan's saying that it's native to the States. Is Tristan in final control? It's been providing coffee. Does Tristan know what it is? So it's purple lovegrass that's native to the States, but then has somehow made its way here. That's interesting. Cool. Nope, mystery is solved. Purple lovegrass, you know what, I should have just guessed. I would have got it right. Purple lovegrass, Eragrostis. I said it was an Eragrostis species. I should have just guessed and gone with it. Purple lovegrass, thank you very much. Similar to bluegrass. Thank you to White Lady Erwin, much appreciated. My mystery of the morning is solved. I'm going to go in search of another one. While we do, let's go and find out what mysteries Byron has for you.
No mysteries just yet, Jamie, but I'm looking for birds. I've now got onto this a bird list hunt. Could we say that? Yeah. And that bird that we saw at the dam, I want to just show you quickly, because remember I said it's a kingfisher, and it was a kingfisher, but I couldn't really tell. It was quite far away. I did manage to get closer to it though, and it was a grey-headed kingfisher, and that's not one that we see very often around here. So that was very, very lucky and beautiful, beautiful kingfisher. They should migrate soon. They also migrate north for the winter. So beautiful colours on the grey-headed kingfisher. Glad we got to see that. So Ash, I mean, if you did see it on camera, if you did have it, you could possibly tick it, unless you want a better view. I know some birders are very strict as to when they actually tick that they've seen the bird. They have to have a clear view of it. But let's see, there's a lot of bird activity at the moment, so hopefully we can get a few more for you. Let's see, and as I say that, the birds have disappeared. James, you wanted to know if there are any bird species in this area that are considered keystone species. So, keystone species is basically birds that occur in the area, and they, I think they also, now I need to remember now, this goes back to a few exams ago. It's so funny, and you get confused. Keystone species, I think, is an indicator species. They're also only found in certain areas, if I'm not mistaken. Now in this area, keystone species, probably the ground hornbills. I think, are they considered keystone species? Oh, I'm gonna double check on all of that for you, and then I'll get back to you. Hang on, there's another bird. No, we won't be able to see that. Just flew off. I think it was just a roller, but right at the top, or dove. Yeah, it's a bit difficult for the camera to get there. There's some doves flying around. Oh, James, you've stumped me a bit with that question. Now it's bothering me. Sure, ground hornbill's considered a keystone species. Now these larks are very difficult to identify. This does look like the monotonous lark, Ash. There are a lot of them around at the moment. Yeah. It is indeed a monotonous lark because it's calling like one. So that is great. Sometimes when they do sit, and I'll show you some of the larks, Ash. How many are you on now? You should be 3 or 4, probably, or maybe the other guys have shown you some birds. These little larks are very, very difficult to identify because they look so similar. But I mean, let me just show you. Firstly, let me show you that is the monotonous lark. So that's the one that you've just seen. Okay. I'll just have a look at this now. Let's see. I think maybe melodious lark. No, it's rufous naped. I think looks a little similar. Look at that. It does look very similar. You see, that's a rufous naped lark. Very similar. These larks are very tricky to identify, but they do have slightly different behavior, and they've all got different calls. So the trick is to wait and see if it calls. Then you might be able to identify it based on the call. But that is indeed a monotonous lark. There are plenty of them around at the moment. So and you can hear him calling. Listen to that for a second. Beautiful call, but they do that constantly, and that is why they're called monotonous larks. Daniel from Scotland, you wanted to know if there are any birds that migrate from the UK down to South Africa. And I'm trying to think if there aren't some falcons that do it. I know European bee-eaters and European rollers will migrate into parts of Europe. I don't know if they right up into the UK, though. I think maybe only some species of falcons, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just double check quickly and see if I can find out any of those falcons. The one of the smallest birds we have in the area that migrates the furthest up into Eastern Europe is the redback shrike, which is incredible. I mean, Scandinavia and that, it's amazing that they're able to migrate that far. Let me just see. See, like one of the Amma falcons, they migrate all the way to East Asia, so huge distances. Not quite Europe, but I'm trying to think if there's...
I would guess European roller.
European roller? Does it go to the UK though? Let's have a look. I'll have a look quickly. Let's just see these. Viam thinks... Southeast Europe, some falcons, Southeast Europe. Let's see what the European roller, where that migrates to exactly. I don't think it's all the way to the UK. Let's have a look. Let's see if VM is right. Morocco and Spain, so up into Europe, but not quite all the way to not quite all the way to the or to the UK. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I think the closest would probably be the falcons that get up into that area. These monotonous larks still calling. Let's see what other birds we can find. Quite a few of the birds have started to migrate already. There are still a few around that haven't left just yet, but April, May, that's the time they all start leaving. All right. Now, Brent is on Cheetah Plains. Let's go and get an update from him. I hope he has some luck down that side.
Well, we haven't quite made it to Cheetah Plains yet. We're still on Chitwa. I'm still searching. I heard that there was tracks of Tundi possibly crossing from Torchwood into this area. So...
Sorry everybody, we're just on the top of a termite mound and we're checking to see if we can't see the elephants that have been rumbling. Now obviously Brent disappeared and unfortunately you took us all by surprise, so sorry about that. We just climbed onto the termite mound. We just heard a very, very deep low rumble up ahead, so finally it looks as though we've caught up with the elephants. But I think they're actually moving away from us. So what we're going to try and do, the wind's blowing this way towards us, which is perfect. It means our scent isn't going to blow in straight towards them. So we're going to continue on and sneak up slowly but surely. So while we do that, it seems as though Byron has had some more luck from the vehicle.
Have a look at this, everyone. Beautiful, beautiful big male. He is in must. I'm just going to sit quietly. Let's just watch him for a second and just see how he reacts to us. Oh, he is magnificent. I know, he's not too fazed. He actually just wanted to move away from us. Wow, look at those tusks. He is huge. Absolutely huge. I'm just going to try reverse a little bit. Let's get another look at him. He seems quite relaxed with us. Sorry, there is a road behind me that I'm going to try and get and turn on. There we go. He is magnificent. Wow, he's beautiful. Look at him spraying that sand over himself. Now, a lot of you know elephants are one of my favorite animals, and especially these big males. Oh, he is so impressive. And as I mentioned, he does look like he is in must, because I could see he is, for one, he's dripping heavily between his legs. You'll see there's a lot of moisture. Do you see that? Now that is a very, very key sign that he is in must. Let's have a look. I'm going to try to get to him. Tracy, some of these male elephants, the big bulls, can go into must for a number of weeks. It can last very, very long, and a few times a year. So let's see. So Tracy, yeah, they can go into must for long periods of time. Often what happens is these big males, what they do is they will suppress must in younger bulls. Oh, I can smell him actually. Now just have a look between his legs. You can see him dripping actually at the moment. And it's purely the increase in testosterone. They secrete a lot of urine in that at the moment. And they also secrete a substance from the temporal glands. You can probably see just on the side of his head there. At the moment he is sweating from those temporal glands. Look at his eye. It looks like he's got a bit of an abscess or something on the side of his eye there. Maybe it's just all the sand that he's been throwing on himself. I think maybe that's just it. A lot of sand. Oh, that's exactly what it is. Hello, big guy. Oh, that is... Oh, he's displaying beautifully for us. Wow, I can smell him. Very, very strong, musty smell. I'm not going to talk too much. Let's just sit quietly and enjoy this. Listen to the birds around us. He's starting to walk towards us, so I think he's deciding that. Okay, I'll move out your way. Let's just see. Oh, this is really, really special. I think he's just smelling us at the moment. See if he picks up more sand. That's it. Wow. Maria, the elephant, have a very, very good sense of smell. Oh, this is really special. I'm just going to sit quietly again. He is quite close to us. This is very, very special. This is amazing. It's almost like he's just testing us. Just wants to know what we're doing here. Are we a threat? So I'm trying to keep my voice very calm, very low. Let's just see how he reacts. Here we go. Don't worry, I won't follow you anymore if you decide to turn around, I promise. Oh, that is amazing to see him throw the sand on himself. We know they do that to try and get rid of all the flies and the... flies and little insects that sit on them. Constantly throwing some sand. He's just resting now. See how he's leaning to one side. It's often a sign that they're resting. He's flapping the one ear. Maybe just something bothering him. It wasn't a sign of aggression there at all. Madison, you asked, is this bull possibly missing his eye? Now, having a look there, that left eye of his, you know what, I do think he's possibly blind, Madison. In that left eye, it looks like something happened to his left eye. That's very interesting. But he is an old bull. This bull is probably close to 45, 50 years old. Judging by his size, that huge skull, look how he's resting his trunk on his tusk. He's still just smelling us. I can't tell you what an incredible moment something like this is, because it's incredibly humbling to be able to sit this close to a magnificent bull elephant this size and get to appreciate him. And he's walking a bit closer. It's interesting, he's not showing any signs of aggression, but he's taking a few steps closer. But also, you've got to be careful with a big bull like this who is in must. You've got to watch out and just be respectful of them. But he hasn't shown me any sign that he's unhappy or anything just yet. Maybe he's just looking for company. But I am ready to move if I have to. Yes, Cameron, these big male elephants, not necessarily just when they are in must, but usually they do move around on their own quite a lot. You might get males and that move around in small groups. Possibly have younger males follow this male, because a big male like this will teach the younger males how to be successful and how to find females, where to look for the best food. But it is not unusual to find a big old male like this by himself, not just when he's in must. But generally they do move around by themselves. Rebecca, I do think so. I think this male will definitely be able to mate successfully. And judging by the must that is in at the moment, I think he's definitely ready to mate with some females. Let's see what he does. Wow, this is really, really amazing. I hope all of you are enjoying this as much as I am. Oh, look at the size of his head and those tusks. Tell me, how would you describe this sighting? You know, I'm always curious as how people see it and what they think about something like this. Okay, I'm going to just sit with this bull a little bit longer because it is so amazing. Jamie's got some more elephant that she would like to show you on foot.
We've finally found our elephants, and we're being very, very quiet. They're rumbling to each other. They're sort of originally were moving in this direction. They've now moved across to in front of me. Luckily, although the wind's swirling a bit because their sense of smell is very sensitive, most of the time it's coming this way. That's one upset elephant. You can hear them trumpeting. That's not at us. That's a baby. There's lots of rumbling happening. I'm trying to see if I can still see one. Looks as though most of them have moved off. One of the things that you've got to be very careful with when you're sitting with an elephant herd is members that you haven't accounted for yet. So there could well be stragglers. There often are stragglers, and often you get more than one herd associating with each other, so they're spending time together, and then the one will walk ahead and the other will follow behind. You want to be very careful in elephant sightings on foot, just to make sure that you're not about to go blundering into a member that you haven't realized is there. It's very easy, if you're not careful, to find yourself surrounded by elephants in a sighting like this. So it's very important to find oneself a nice, safe vantage point, which is what we've got in the form of this termite mound that I'm currently sort of sitting on, keeping an eye on where the elephants are. It's nice. You can never ever underestimate the advantage of having higher ground. First of all, it means that you're more likely to see a potential threat making its way towards you, but also it gives you that psychological advantage over the animal if it decides to charge. Not, of course, that that's what we want. And the nice thing about there's more coming through here and moving across. I don't know, we might pick up on them as they come through that side. Now, the nice thing about the sighting is they've got no idea we're here, not a clue. And that's the way that we prefer to have our sightings on foot, particularly with the big animals, not interfering at all with the way in which they interact with each other and whatever they're doing. We don't want to interrupt that or impact that in any way. Now, for now, we're going to be sitting here patiently and waiting for the elephants to move past us. But it seems as though it is a morning filled with elephants, as the third person to find them is Brent.
Well, we are less than 3 feet from the Ellie. He's a young bull, probably late 20s, and he's walked right up to us. Oh, he's going to give us a bit of a dust bath. Oh! Now, when I say that, I mean literally if we leant over, we could almost touch him. We're being covered in dust at the moment. Oh, that's right onto my camera, mister. That's not very pleasant. Don't be rude. Hey, little boy. Hey. I don't want your dust. Don't put your trunk on my car. Now, Lissy's wondering, do bulls ever stop going into must, or is it lifelong? It is lifelong, Lissy. Now, I'm just going to say, can you come a little bit wider, and you can actually see how close he is. So we're always actually going to walk around behind us now. He's decided we're not as interesting as the grass. Now, let's just hope he doesn't want to do another dust bath from that direction, because then we're directly in the line of fire. He's decided he's hungry again. Hey, big boy. So, Ellie bulls are always wonderful to spend time with, and you can get really close to them. And a lot of people get quite panicky and start moving the vehicle, and that's often when you get into trouble. So I stopped, and he walked up to us. I didn't force myself into his space. He came into my space. And he was very well behaved. He actually didn't try to put his trunk on the vehicle or whatnot. Now, in certain places, people will let elephants do that. I do not let elephants do that. It's not clever, and it's not good for them or for us, because one day something will go wrong, and the elephant will be to blame, but it won't, or elephant will be blamed, but it won't actually be the elephant's fault. It's because people have not established correct boundaries with these young guys. And now, if you had to drive off fast here, this is when he might, hello, yes, I can see you. You're very strong. Yes. And you can see the aerial from the vehicle. He's probably about 2 feet from the back corner now. There you go, having a little head scratch. Hey, mister. You got an itch? Yeah. in a situation like this, people do start feeling uncomfortable and want to start moving the vehicle, which is the wrong thing to do, because all that does is teach these young bulls how to chase vehicles. I'm keeping a careful eye on him. So here he is. And a lot of that time it's more curiosity than anything else, and you can see now he's a bit more bored with us. So I'm just going to keep an eye on him. He's right behind the vehicle. This is A. Just because you think I can't see you doesn't mean you can misbehave behind me. There he is. So he started coming in a little bit closer. Now, his body language, none of it's aggressive. It's all sort of more, what would you call it, boisterous than aggressive. And he'll probably get bored of us and move off and carry on feeding quite shortly. I do love spending time with the Ellies. Now you can see he's got quite a raggedy ear, or his left ear is quite raggedy. Quite a few different holes in it. So there we go. Bored of us, off he's moving. You can see those tears in the ear. And when he flaps, you see all those massive capillaries and blood vessels behind his ears. Now, White Lady Aeon was wondering about why his ears were so raggedy. I'd probably just ripped them through some thorn trees. Some of it could be from having a bit of a battle with another Ellie. And there we go. Sometimes move around, but I think he's decided we're not that interesting anymore. He's far more interested in feeding. Here we go. Well, we're going to let him continue on his merry way, and we're going to do the same. I'm going to head up towards Buffelshoek Dam, that area. I haven't actually been there yet since I've been back, so hopefully we'll have something around there. But wasn't that wonderful? It is always really exciting being so close to the biggest land animal in the world. And if you have any questions on elephants, please hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and we will do our best to answer them. Now, of course, it seems Byron's had elephants, I've had elephants, and Jamie's on foot with elephants, but it sounds like she's climbing another termite mound. Maybe she's trying to get a better look.
Just look what we've got here. I have to speak very, very softly. Just a few meters away from us is an elephant that hasn't realized we're here. And he stopped to have a snack. How cool is that? So we've moved from one termite mound onto another. We've crossed in between the herd, and we found ourselves another safe vantage point. And the wonderful thing about this sighting is that I can actually hear them talking to each other. So they're spread out around us, and the air is filled with these deep rumbles as they talk to each other. And you can hear one will start, and then the other will respond and talk back. And that's really, really cool. It's one of my favorite things about elephants, to know that you're sitting with them on foot and listening to them talk. That's so cool. Sorry, I'm not very well balanced. I don't want to fall down the termite mound. So ideally what we want to do is try and get onto the top here, but then stay crouched down, particularly because Fergus has got that big antenna that sticks up above him. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves. Now this is, from what I can see, this is a young male, which is perfect. Young assume that you're at the back of the herd, because there goes another one. This is the best way to spend a morning. Another young male. So stragglers at the back of the herd. That's why we moved when we did. There they go, talking to each other again. Stopping to feed at exactly the same tree that the other elephant fed at. And here comes number 3. So we've got our perfect place, and what's wonderful about this is that we were here first, which means they're going to come past us. We don't have to make a noise getting here, or anything like that. Interestingly enough, I realized how rusty I am from sitting on that other termite mound, because I forgot to keep moving, and when I got up my entire leg was dead. And that's actually something as a field guide you've got to be very careful about. If you crouch for too long and then you get pins and needles, or your muscles aren't getting enough blood, then you can't move when you need to. So just a really random and important lesson. You can keep shifting around. Now Cameron, here comes number 3. Cameron, you want to know how close we can get to these elephants. Not much closer than this. Any closer than this and we would be taking some serious chances. Occasionally with an older bull, you can let them get within around about 60 or so feet from you. We're probably about 90 feet or so away from these elephants. It also is very much dependent on how much cover you have. So if you have a good spot to go and view them, then you could approach closer. If we had this termite mound and they decided to come close by us, it would be perfect. They all want that bush willow. All these young boys. And it's a really nice, clear example of what we were talking about before. The fact that actually you've got to be very careful with elephant herds. Just in case there are elephants behind the group. And what could happen now, while we sit here, is there's even the chance of a large elephant bull walking behind everybody, basically just bringing up the rear. But you can see in the elephant's body language that they've got no idea that we're here. See the way their tails are swishing and their ears are flapping. It's completely peaceful body language. Oh, here comes number 4. Just goes to show. I wonder if number 4 is gonna... Oh, hold on a second. No, this is the second breeding herd. Well, we're definitely not going anywhere now. We're gonna be sitting here, patiently, waiting for them to come past. Try and keep your movements nice and slow if you do move, especially with the female. She's got a calf with her as well. You can see all of the boys backing off in sort of respectfully as she comes through, moving away from her, letting her come and feed off the same tree. They've obviously experienced a female's bad temper before. She stopped to eat at exactly the same place. So that's 5 elephants that have walked past us. 6 elephants. Here comes a big one. Oh, there's a big bull. Just stay nice and still, Fergus. Okay, he's just looking back towards the other elephant. That's fine. There's the big gentleman of the group. So almost exactly as we predicted. There comes the big bull. he's probably going to walk up to the female and test her scent, and then she'll move away from him. This is such a beautifully peaceful sighting. We're going to sit patiently and wait for these Ellies to come past us, but while we do, let's head across to Byron before his warthog runs away.
They're coming. And we've just found a warthog hiding in the long grass. Looks like it's actually feeding on some of the long grass. That's interesting. Always nice to see warthogs. I think they've got such character. It's interesting. It looks like quite a big warthog, but it's got small tusks. Again, it's actually difficult to gauge the size, judging by the long grass, or in the long grass rather. There's so much food around for these animals at the moment. It's a perfect time of year. And they're all fattening themselves up for the winter, and hopefully they'll be able to carry themselves right up through, especially September, October, when it's very, very dry, there's not much food around. And then hopefully by November we'll start getting rain again. I'm hoping we also get some rain now towards the end of our summer. In the next few weeks, get some serious rain just to carry us through the winter. But there is a lot of food at the moment, which is great. Now I think it's that time of the morning where it's not quite tip of the day yet. I will get you a tip of the day. But let me just jump out here for a second, because Wiem is in luck, and he actually asked me this morning. He saw I did it with Craig the other day. Well, it's coffee time, I think. You know, this is a time of the morning where I do stop the vehicle with guests, get them out, stretch the legs a little bit, see what you can hear. You might be able to find something. Now, I made an interesting concoction here for us, Wiem. I think you're really going to enjoy this. It's a bit of coffee mixed with Milo. So it's a hot chocolate cafe mocha kind of experiment that I've got here. So you can taste it and you can let me know what you think. See, I look after the cameraman, don't I? I think the ladies in the FC might be getting a bit jealous. Who knows? We'll see. So, Wiem, there we go, sir. You've been working very, very hard. There's your coffee. So taste it, let me know, and we'll see what else. Let me taste. Yeah, that is brilliant. It doesn't get much better than that, huh? So we've got our coffee, and we are ready to rock and roll and see what else we can find. There's some Impala ahead of us, and I think I saw another warthog, one or two warthogs moving through the long grass. There's a bit of a water hole up ahead, so I wonder if they aren't around there. Maybe wallowing, not quite yet. Maybe it's still slightly overcast, still fairly cool. There's some Waterbuck actually, not warthogs, but Waterbuck. Have a look here. That's nice. Just enjoying also a lot of the long grass. A lot of food for these animals to feed on. You can see those thick coats of the waterbuck. Very different to some of the other antelope that we have in the area. I mean, if you look at those waterbuck compared to the impala off to the left, and just have a look over here, you can see they've got those beautiful coats, but not nearly as shaggy as the waterbuck. So, Dina, these animals, I don't think they necessarily go and drink the water off of the leaves that intentionally, but what happens is while they are feeding on these plants, they will definitely get all that moisture. So it's not a case of them, consciously going and drinking the water off of the leaf. There's lots of water around at the moment. So with that mist, as you were saying, Dina, with the mist, there would have been a lot of water and moisture probably collected on the plants and the leaves. But these animals, just by feeding on them, will get that moisture. It's not a conscious effort to actually go and look for fresh water off of the leaves because there's a lot of water around at the moment. So they, in terms of water holes, so they'll just go and drink at the water holes, but they will definitely get moisture from those or from that bit of mist like we had this morning. I just want to have a look quickly. I saw that warthog again in the distance. Now let's just go have a look and see if it isn't perhaps wallowing. Here it is. I've got a view of it. It's just ahead of us. I wonder if it's the only one there. There might be others. Let's see. Yeah, there are indeed others, and they're feeding on the green vegetation around the water. Let's see. Stay there, please. Oh, no, don't run. It is just off to my right. Now, I wonder, this is possibly, this could be, these water could be related to that other one we saw. I'm not sure. I don't think so, though. I actually don't know. It is a possibility. It is a possibility. They're in the same area, so maybe. This also looks like a younger warthog. See those small tusks?
Byron, this is great coffee.
Thanks, VM. Yeah. VM says great coffee. Thank you, VM. Glad you're enjoying it. There may or may not be a bit of condensed milk in there too.
I won't tell if you won't.
Condensed milk just to sweeten it up a little bit. Oh, that's great. Both of them together. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that other one is part of this family or the sounder of warthog. It's lovely getting to these little open areas with these water holes when you get so many animals around. The waterbuck probably came to drink. The impala came to drink, I'm sure, and these warthog. The warthog were actually feeding on some of the green vegetation just around the edge of the water hole. But there's lovely short grass here at the moment for them, so it's a perfect spot for them. And also it's nice and open, so they can keep an eye out for any predators, which is of course vital for these animals. It's been a wonderful start to the week, a great Monday morning. Hyena, or just what I think what we've seen, hyena, the elephant, that elephant was really magnificent. Now all these animals, it's so nice to see different species of animals in the same area. I've always said that. I really love seeing it. And the bird life has been great. Ash, if you're still watching, I hope your bird list is coming along slowly but surely. You just have to keep watching. We constantly do a few birds. Every show we try and do a few birds, especially ones that we don't see very often. Okay, we got... And there's a starling. That's a Birchall starling that just flew off there. Stotting impala, look at that. Running past us. Okay, I'm going to move away from this waterhole, see what else we can find. Let's head back to Brent, who's back on Djuma, and find out what his plans are for the end of the morning.
Oh, we're in the area just to the north of the Buffelshoek Dam. Now, Djuma, the male leopard, was seen here very briefly this morning. And I just thought we'd have a little meander around. You never know, he might have a kill somewhere, so just checking quite carefully and hoping he might pop out again. But of course, during the day, he's not very relaxed. He's far better at night. You can get much closer to him, but during the day, he tends to be a bit skittish. So, Thandi and Tamba, unfortunately, we had their tracks. They crossed back into Torchwood. And still no sign of Shongile popping out, but I think if she is around in that area, we'll definitely find her this afternoon. Now, there are two lionesses in Torchwood. I'm not sure who they are. No one's quite sure who they are around First Rock, so I'm listening carefully there, trying to see what's happening. And as soon as I get an update, I'll give one to you. So at the moment, we're just being serenaded by a monotonous lark. Well, hello Jackson, who's a new viewer to Safari Live. Well, welcome on the Sunrise Safari, Jackson. Jackson wants to know, why are leopards seen alone while lions are seen in groups? Well, they fill different ecological niches, Jackson. A lion is the only social cat, actually truly social cat, and they are social cats due to the fact they need to hunt bigger things. They're much bigger animals. A leopard's ecological niche is the solitary predator, so they don't attack creatures nearly as big as lions, and they've evolved to be very successful as individuals rather than as a group animal, where lions have evolved to be successful as a group. So that's the main reason. No, I thought I saw something there for a second, but it was a false alarm. Still going to head down towards the waterhole to have a look. It is getting really warm quite quickly at the moment. I know a lot of you are wondering about Woodland's Kingfishers. I just think they've stopped calling. I think they are still here. Oopsie. So on the top of that dead tree, coming up ahead, so right on the top right there, is a Woodland's Kingfisher. There he is. So they haven't made the move to the Sahel yet. I saw one last night, and I saw one this morning, and that was the second one I've seen this morning. But of course they've stopped calling now that the fact that the breeding season is over, so there's no need to advertise one's presence constantly, unlike the monotonous larks, whoop, off he goes, that are still calling incessantly. There's a monotonous lark there. We come out, wait, come wide again please. There. Oop. To the left. come out and to the left. So watch my finger. There. No, left. Come out. There, watch the finger. There. Left more. Keep coming left. Has it flown off? Okay. Well, we can still hear it calling, that very distinct. Let's see if we can catch up with it again. It didn't seem to go too far, but there are a lot of them around at the moment. Hi, Cameron. Cameron's wondering which bird species make the loudest calls. Wow. Oof, that's quite a difficult one. I'd say probably hardy-dars make very loud calls. Egyptian geese are very loud. I don't think what else is very loud. Fish eagles, African fish eagles have a loud call. Okay. We now have to go through a bit of a dip here on our way to the Buffelshoek waterhole, so I do apologize if we get any signal breakup, but we should be through it in 2 ticks. But while we do that, let's go across to Jamie on bushwalk.
There we go. There's a grass that I absolutely do know, in the form of Natal redtop grass. Definitely one of my favorite grasses. Generally, once we've had, because the last time you saw me, of course, we were sitting on a termite mound. Generally, when you have guests and you have a sighting like that with elephants, one of the things that we do when we've taken them on a walk like that is actually to give them what's known as almost like a debrief afterwards. So what I mean by that is, you just, once you're in a safe place, once you've moved away from the elephants, or away from whatever animal you're watching, you sit and just chat to them a little bit about that particular sighting and how comfortable it was and so on. And I learned that it's actually a very, very important aspect of walking something like that, because of course while you're with those animals you can't necessarily explain exactly what you're doing or what's going on. And one of the things that I realized, and I suppose I should have known, but we get so used to walking these animals that we forget how it feels for people who haven't experienced that before. And we forget that actually it can be a very, very scary experience for certain people. And that's why it's always useful to actually sit them down afterwards and say, just so you know, we weren't in any danger, or this is why I did what I did, or this is why I shouted at the animal, because we were in danger. Basically just talk them through the whole process. So that whole elephant sighting was textbook exactly how we would have wanted an elephant sighting to go. At no point did any of them see that we were there. They had no idea we were there. The wind was perfect for us, blowing our scent straight away from those elephants. It could actually not have been more perfect if you tried. The trick there is then to realize when it's done. When the moment is over, the sighting is over, and it's time to leave. And one of the mistakes that sort of beginner field guides often make, and I don't know whether it's I don't necessarily want to assume it's quite a macho thing, but one of the things that new field guides make is they want to push to try and get more out of the sighting, to get more, to follow the elephants, to stay with those lions just that little bit too long. And that's where mistakes happen, because that's where you've actually pushed your luck a little bit too far and taken some unnecessary risks. And we left those elephants. They wandered, of course, entirely between us and home, which means that we have to go all the way around. Now, King, you want to know what animal is the most dangerous animal on a bushwalk? We often get asked that question, and it's always very circumstantial. I would say the 2 most dangerous animals to encounter on a bushwalk are a hippopotamus and a buffalo. A hippopotamus, especially, we were seeing quite regularly during the drought, and that was quite scary, because they were in such bad condition. They were just constantly seeking grass and seeking to stop and sort of eat something. They didn't have any water to go and lie down in, no shelter at all, and that made them very angry and very dangerous. So a hippo, supposedly, is the mammal that kills the most people in Africa per year. That mammal, I say, because obviously the mosquito is the one that kills the most people. I also think it's a bit of an unfair bias in that direction because, of course, hippo live in water and human beings build near water, so they're more likely to come into contact with something like a hippopotamus. You can't fence a hippopotamus either because it's very difficult to fence a river, so they move in between reserves. The hippopotamus, a buffalo, just because buffalo are just, in general, grumpy. They just don't really like people. They don't really like anything, actually. And they look at you like they really don't like you. And generally the reason that a buffalo is one of the most dangerous is because when they go for you, the chances are it's not a warning charge. Chances are it's going to come for you genuinely. The other very, very dangerous thing, and I'll get back to the buffalo in a moment, is an elephant breeding herd. That's probably one of the most dangerous animals to walk on foot. Unpredictable. If something goes wrong, the entire herd will move and rush to the defense of the babies, and that can make it very dangerous indeed. So that's probably third on my list. Now, Anna Marie, back to our second member of the list. You want to know why are there so few buffalo? I think it's just that other areas had slightly more rain, and that worked out well because it's the areas where there's better grass. Fields and fields of red grass, the Media triandra, which is a very good quality grass for them. So they would have moved to sort of the large open areas. I know there were lots of them down south. But it was actually, at one point, people were desperately begging for buffalo sightings in the northern part of the Sabi Sand, just because they all vanished completely. It became a topic of conversation. What you'll find, probably, is that will change again. As it starts to get dry, no fly. May not sit on my nose. There's pumped water here. You'll probably find that the buffalo start to come back to us once again. The elephants disappeared for a while as well. They're back. And the wildebeest and the zebra are also back. So the buffalo will come. Look, I also think the drought played... I don't know how many would have died in that drought, but it must have dropped that population. If there were, I don't know, roughly, if I'm guessing, 13,000 buffalo in the Kruger. No, it must be even more than that. I wonder what percentage of their population actually didn't make it through the drought. I would say a considerable one. But either way, we've definitely had a noticeable drop in buffalo sightings over the past few weeks and months, actually. Right, we're going to continue the long trek all the way around. The elephants have now gone to stand between us and home, and as Brent said, now that the mornings are starting later, it does get quite warm just before 9 o'clock. There's elephants everywhere. There are tracks of elephants everywhere. There's dung everywhere. We're going to have to pay attention to our surroundings. And while we do that, it's actually something Byron once said to me. Pay attention to your surroundings, JB. And then I walked into 2 lions that he knew were there. Anyway, speaking of Byron, let's send you across to him.
Well, Jamie, I hope you keep your eye out for those elephant, and hopefully you see some more of them. It's always fun and exciting when you do come across the elephant on the bushwalk. So yeah, I'm just cruising around at the moment, trying to find anything else really. I went and had a look around Twin Dams to see if perhaps Shungile is around, but no sign of her, unfortunately. So I need to think of a tip of the day. No. Trying to think. Tip of the day. Problem is I forget some of the ones that I've given in the past, and I don't want to repeat myself. Don't forget, if you have any questions about a normal safari when you come out to Africa, ask those questions. As all of you know, I still take people out regularly. So if you have any questions about areas or I don't know, anything about the game drives, Okay, I'm going to think of a tip of the day, but while we do that, let's head back to Brent, who's got another Ellie bull he'd like to show you.
Now, this is a proper Ellie bull. We had a youngster earlier. This is a big adult bull. You can see the thickness of his tusks. He's probably over 40. Hey, big guy. I've seen this bull before around, but nice to catch up with him. Let's try and get a bit closer. He was busy taking apart the speed bump that Rex and using it to dust bath with. When you're his size, it's not really a speed bump at all. There he is. Hey, big boy. Oh, he's magnificent. I do love these big bulls. They are incredibly powerful. And he's off on his own mission today. Doesn't want to hang around with us. And he is heading into an area where we unfortunately don't have the best signal, so we'll leave him be. Bye, Ellie. I wonder what else is out there. Now, the leopards are still being a little bit scarce. We had tracks of Shungile, we had tracks of Tandi and Tamba. So, they're around, they're just not being very forthcoming yet this morning. And I just heard now that there's sounds like there's tracks of a male coming in around Gallagher's shortcut. That could be Tingana, it could have been Djuma last night on his marches as well. And you just have a little dabble towards the Chelapan area. Maybe there'll be some Duggar boys out now that it's a bit warm in the mud. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us. Oh, but quickly across to Byron and a bird.
We've got a beautiful Wahlberg's eagle, a pale form of a Wahlberg's eagle that's flying around at the moment. A bit tricky to see it, but yeah. Oh, that's great. That's a lovely view of it circling around, possibly looking for some food. But that's a pale form. We've seen a few of them. I wonder if it's not the same one, or maybe there's 2 or 3 around that we see regularly. And because you know, and for some of you Rebecca Rebecca, I know it's a Wahlberg's eagle because I just know it's a Wahlberg's eagle. Okay, no, but I know what you mean. Rebecca wants me to try and explain what I'm looking for while it's flying. So the thing with the Wahlberg's eagle is it's got a longer tail, a slightly longer tail to some of the compared to some of the other eagles, and yeah, it's difficult when birds are in flight like this. You really have to look at coloration, if you can see it properly, the beak, the legs, like anything. Whenever you're identifying these big birds of prey, so it is tricky, but that one I could just tell. Wahlberg's eagle, pale form, longer tail. But when they're perched, then there are other little things you can look for. But when they're flying, I don't know. It comes with, I suppose, experience, knowing what to look for. Jamie's got a Woodland Kingfisher. Let's go and have a look.
And would you look at that? Brent was absolutely right about our Woodland's Kingfisher. They have not left us just yet. They're just not nearly as noisy as they used to be. Very soon they will be gone. But we've got this really, truly beautiful oasis that's formed after those really big rains that we had. And this entire section of river's the wrong word, creek, I guess, was flowing. It's the first time I've ever seen it flow, and it's a really, really pretty spot. But the one thing I know Morning Glory asked ages ago about whether or not what things have changed. Spiderweb. Sorry, got rid of that. What things have changed. I did not expect there to be water still in this particular patch. And it's really very pretty. I knew this was a seep line, and I knew that the elephants often came here to dig for water once the other water had disappeared, but I did not expect there to still be water here. And kingfisher obviously taking full advantage of it, not to catch fish, because that particular species of kingfisher actually isn't one of the ones that fishes. There's only two, the giant and the pied kingfisher, that actually catch fish. But to come here for all the insects that are landing on the surface of this water. This is really, truly a gorgeous spot. Water, shade, nice flattened place that the elephants have made, and one beautiful hibiscus flower. It's good to be back. And hopefully, the fact that we do still have places like this is a good sign for the dry months to come. Doesn't mean that we're going to run out of water as early as we did last year. Last year by this time, I don't think there was water anywhere. If I remember correctly, we had some late rains. I'm trying to think back. Fergus, you're going to fall over a pile of elephant dung. You just watch it happening, getting closer and closer, and I'm imagining poor Fergus going backwards. Well done, Fergus. Laurie, sorry, moving on from the potential Fergus falling, watch rock, falling backwards. It's a hard job walking backwards up the hill. I'm just going to stand here in the shade. Laurie, you wanted to know whether or not the droughts have got worse in recent years. Apparently we do go through, in this particular area, you go through sort of 7-year cycles of wet season, very wet years, and then quite dry years. As to whether or not the droughts have got worse in recent years, it's hard to say, because 2 years ago it was flooding, really seriously flooding. Not quite 2, it's about 3 years ago now. But I mean, the rivers were bursting their banks, lodges were washing away. We were finding all sorts of very peculiar things in rivers. It was really quite serious. There was so much water. And now we've had 1 year of very little rain. This year's been okay, but obviously it would have been much better if we'd had more, just to help us catch up and refill those dams. That's hard to say. The last big drought was in 92. The last big drought before that apparently was about 100 years ago. So it's hard to say for certain whether or not they've got worse in recent years. I'm hesitant to say yes for now, just because it might be part of the natural phenomenon and the natural weather cycles. And we might find that next year we get huge amounts of rain. I do think we're going to run out of water again, though, this year. It will just remain to be seen. I know, of course, Kenya's been hit by a really serious drought. Now, Aaron, you want to know, on the subject of grass species, which species will survive best without rain? Of course, now I've stopped to see whether or not there's any, and there isn't. Aaron, there are obviously some grass species that we don't get here that are perfectly adapted to arid areas. There's something called silky bushman's grass that you see quite a lot of in the southern Kalahari, where of course the rainfall level is much, much lower. That's really beautiful grass. And then all of your pioneer species. Now they've sort of done away with the terminology of pioneer species and climax species, but I still think in those terms. The pioneer grass species, like Natal redtop, like carrot seed, those sorts of grasses, they are very, very tough grasses, hence why they're called pioneers, because in the natural succession of grasses, in the sort of the build-up of a grassland, a healthy grassland, you get your pioneers fixing the soil, and then you get your subclimax species, and you get your climax species. And the pioneer species are the ones that tend to be the toughest in terms of coping when there's very little rainfall, when there's a lot of erosion, for example. They've obviously got root systems that help them to maintain themselves. And now I'm looking for one And of course, because I wanted to see one, can't find any. Turpentine grass. I think, although turpentine grass might actually take a lot of rain, it's just not a particularly palatable grass. It's a grass species that smells and stinks like turpentine. It's very, very clear. It's very, very pungent grass. What other grass species? Trees, of course, are the ones that are really truly adapted to deal with a lack of rainfall. With their root systems, they're able to access water stores or water that isn't close to the surface, and that helps tremendously. And that's why ultimately the trees are the things that saved a lot of the animals going through the drought, and that's why the ones that were hardest hit were the buffalo, the hippo, the white rhino, those animals that are bulk grazers and actually can't supplement their diet all that much by browsing. They all did, but they definitely didn't work. Apparently Byron has not yet given you a tip of the day. Well, I think it's time you rush across to him so that he can remedy that before the end of the sunrise safari.
I haven't yet, Jamie, and I'm racking my brain. I think tip of the day. Sure. Tip of the day, I think, when you're on a safari is, don't forget, we rely a lot on our guests to also help spot the animals. So don't be shy to stop the guide and say, sorry, I thought I saw something, even if it turns out to be nothing. Just take a chance. If you see something that looks like an animal, stop and have a look. It's always worth it, and you never know, it could be something. So don't forget that we rely a lot on our guests to also help spot animals, because we might be talking to you, or we might be looking in one direction and you could be looking in another direction. So don't forget, when you're on a safari, everybody's out there to spot the animals, just like these elephant ahead of us. So that would be my tip of the day, is keep your eyes open when you are in the bush. Try and take it all in, appreciate everything, and try and spot the animals. Oh, well, that's a lovely little way to end the show. Kind of. Almost. Lovely herd of elephants. I think this is what Jamie was referring to when she said there are elephant everywhere at the moment. And it does look like a Jamie, and we had that beautiful big bull. And now a herd of Ellies, some youngsters. You can see the different sizes between a few of these elephants, some young ones and older females, and they seem nice and relaxed. Also dust bathing a bit. There was one just on the road, off to the right. You can actually see, sorry, before we get there, those youngsters, look at that. Just underneath that one at the back there, two little ones. Wow. Now we always get the question, do elephants have twins? Have we ever seen twins? Now those look pretty close, so I wonder. But it's not something that happens often, and but it has been recorded before. It could just be females giving birth round about the same time, maybe coming into estrus round about the same time. Let's see if I can move a little bit closer. They seem to be communicating with each other. Now, the other day we got to see them resting in the shade. Whole herd just stood and rested while they allowed the youngsters to... Sorry, I'm just going to try and move past slowly. These younger elephants sometimes get a bit, not agitated, but they try to get protective of the herd. There we go. Nice and relaxed. They're just cooling themselves in the shade. Again, notice how the Ellies and the adults are facing different directions. Put the youngsters in between them just for safety, but possibly giving them some time to rest. Have a look, that little one's suckling there now. That's another question that comes up often: how long do they suckle for? So this one looks like it's probably about 3 years old, I would say, maybe older, and it's still trying to suckle from the adult. Oh, this is beautiful. Laura Moore, you asked, is there a name for the tip of the trunk, those little fingers that they use to occasionally pick up small little branches or anything small? Now I'm trying to think, Laura, I can't remember. I'll double check. That's two things I need to double check again this morning. Okay, so I suppose I'm going to be finishing the show today with these wonderful elephant, which is great. Look at that tusk, the one on the right. Look at that tusk. It's bent back. Have a look. Can you see that? Just to the center. So a really great morning, lots of elephant. Nice to see those hyena. Unfortunately no cats, but we'll try this afternoon again. The lions are close by, so hopefully they decide to head back onto our property at some point. Thank you very much to Brent and Jamie for a great morning with them too, and the ladies in the FC, Rebecca and Jerry. And thank you very much to all of you again for all your wonderful questions and comments. It's always nice hearing from you. We also learn a lot while we are out on safari. Oh, look at that. That's just a youngster screaming, I think, looking for milk. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you this afternoon. Don't forget to join us on Safari Live. We'll see you all soon.